What is good, everybody? We got another episode of Ask FP. And, of course, I am Brian Mazik, a.k.a. Franchise Player. We're going to jump right into the question of the day. Zachary has got the lick. He says, who are the top 5 masked wrestlers of all time? That's a really good question, which is why it is the question of the day. I'm going to start from number 5. Number 5 for me is Ultimo Dragon. If you have not seen him, you need to see him. Ultimo Dragon is pretty awesome. Now, number 4 is Vader time. Vader. Big fan of Vader. Vader was a beast. Number 3 would be Mankind. Number 2 is Rey Mysterio, and number 1 is Kane. Justin says, do you think that Tyson Kidd and Daniel Bryan will return from their injuries? I do think both of them will return. At this point right now, what I think is happening with Daniel Bryan is I think they're actually kind of using this whole thing. I think there's some truth to the fact that, he's medically cleared, but the WWE doctors won't clear him yet. I think there's some truth to that. But I also think just WWE style, they're going to end up interweaving that whole thing into the storyline. So it's going to be another they're holding him back type of a thing. So Jovan, and I do think that Tyson Kidd's coming back. Jovan Radovanovic says, do you follow water polo? Jovan comes with some stuff, man. I'm trying to tell you. Do you follow water polo? And if so, who do you think will win the world championship? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Jovan, I don't follow water polo at all. It looks fun. I played it at Key Lime Cove once or something like that, but I don't know. So I'm going to take a stab in the dark. Greece, because I don't even know why, but Greece. So don't take that seriously, but that's what I throw out there. Will Breedlove says, do you think that Jaleel Okafor is a similar type player to Tim Duncan? I know he has to improve on defense, which I think he will. A similar type player, so to speak, because, you get the big guys, the back to the basket, more fundamentally sound than he is flashy, more of a stoic type of a behavior or demeanor, I should say. Yeah, so I do see some similarities there, but being Tim Duncan is more than about being stoic and having a fundamentally sound game. Tim Duncan is a tireless worker. He's always in excellent shape. And he's extremely skilled. So I think it goes a little bit further than that, but I do think there's some similarities. Sharuk Rahat says, which fighter has the best chance to beat Ronda Rousey? And how long does Rousey stay undefeated? Honestly, I'll be just totally honest. If she fights Cyborg and Cyborg doesn't beat her, she's going to retire undefeated unless she fights until she's like 42 or something. But if she retires at a normal time, maybe 15, 20 fights, nobody will beat her if Cyborg doesn't. Weston Flores says, should the Divas have their own Royal Rumble should they have their own Royal Rumble at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view once a year, just like the male wrestlers? I do think that based off what we're starting to see right now, that I think that that's the best way to go. I think they might need about 3 or 4 more legitimate talents in there. They got some decent ones right now, with Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks and Charlotte, but I still think they need a few more, but I do think that's the right direction to move in. Weston Flores has a follow-up question with that. He says, should the Divas have their own Money in the Bank match, just like the guys? That definitely, I think that should happen before the Royal Rumble, because as far as Money in the Bank, that's just something that we've never seen with the Divas, that type of intrigue. So I think it would be really awesome. Money in the Bank cash-ins are huge. So yeah, I definitely think that would be something awesome. And in my opinion, Sasha has to win the Money in the Bank. So, because her and playing up the whole money angle and just seeing how she plots to cash it in would be pretty cool. I think she's the best thing the Divas division has going right now, personally. So we'll see what happens with her. Devin Martinez says, do you think the WWE should have Xavier Woods on commentary? I think that could be interesting because Xavier Woods is hilarious, man. Just if you watch a New Day match and just listen, just tune out JBL in them for a minute and just listen to Xavier Woods and the stuff he says ringside, it is pretty funny. So I think he could definitely be a good addition to a commentary team. I'd like to see him get a chance. Dylan Freeman came strong, so I'm going to just prepare y'all right now. He says, how would you rank, but this is a really good question. So how would you rank Dolph Ziggler in these categories? So number 1 on the mic, 2 selling, and 3 as a wrestler. So I'm going to grade him on a 1 to 10 scale on each one. On the mic, he's about a 7.5. Could be a little bit better, not horrible. Selling, absolutely a 10. No doubt about it. Him and Seth Rollins are the 2 best sellers in the promotion. And as a wrestler, I'd give him about a 9.5. The only thing about him as a wrestler that he's just not that physically strong, but that almost like you can't really hold that against him. So I think those last 2, he's on the money. Dylan Freeman says, do you think Lana will fight Summer Rae? And if so, which pay-per-view? I think that could be coming. I think Lana is just not she's probably really, really, really green as far as in the ring. Summer Rae's not great. So now you're talking about having a match between 2 people, divas that may not really be able to put on much of a show. So you got to watch that. Let's see. Dylan Freeman's back. He says, do you watch NASCAR? And if so, who do you think will win the championship this year? And the thoughts on Kyle Busch's run? I do watch NASCAR. I'm a new fan, as in like the last 2 years. But Kyle Busch has been amazing. I think he's won like 4 of his last 5 races. He finished second place in last weekend's race. I think that he is on fire, and I think he is my favorite to win it once they get to the chase. Now that he's moved up into the 30th place, and now he's going to qualify. So I think he's the one to watch. Kevin Harvick, I think that 2nd and 3rd place finishes is going to catch up to him when it comes to the chase. Dylan Freeman. Now, I asked you guys to start giving me some, one gotta goes and some would you rather. So we started to come up with something like that, but some of the other people actually hit it exactly. But Dylan Freeman says, do you think that Frank Gore would match any of these totals here, or break them? I really don't think so, man. I think Frank Gore is on the decline in a major way, and I just don't think he's going to get the carries or the opportunities to break those records. He's already really run past what you would mostly expect for a running back of his age. Johnny Money 777 says, will LBJ ever join the NBA dunk contest, and would it really boost his image? I think it would have. It could still boost his image, but I think the window for that is closed. He's 30, and you don't see guys getting in there. You don't see very many 30-year-old guys in the dunk contest, period, let alone someone of LeBron's stature. He just doesn't have as much to gain from something like that. I just don't see him doing that. I think the last 2-3 years was the last window for that, unless he wants to do something unprecedented, but I just don't think so. Johnny Money 777 bold prediction says, who is the newest WWE World Champion after WrestleMania 32? The newest WWE Champion. I don't think they're going to quite give it to Roman yet. I think he is probably the next one, but I think they're going to probably wait a little bit longer to give it to Roman. They want to make sure the coast is completely clear and that, fans aren't going to completely try to sabotage it. But I think he's coming, but I don't know. I don't think it's then. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I really don't know. I do think Bray Wyatt's going to get a run, and that's a question coming up a little bit later. Johnny Money says, who is a better player in their prime, Paul Pierce or Melo? I think Pierce. And I don't even hesitate very much to say that, because in Paul Pierce's prime, not only could he score just as well as Melo, but Paul was a better on-ball defender and a better team player than Melo ever was and probably ever will be. So I take Pierce. Johnny Money 777 says, is Joel Embiid really Greg Oden 2.0? I don't know if we can say that yet. It certainly isn't looking good. Anytime you've had the injury, he's yet to play a second of NBA basketball. He hasn't even been in the NBA DL, so yeah, it's looking rough for sure. But I think it's too early to have a real determination and say, hey, this guy's an injury bust and God bless Greg Oden and the other problems that he's having. Devin Martinez says, do you think that Kofi will ever win the WWE World Heavyweight title? I don't think so. I think that his time period for that type of a rise is done. I think he has had a very good WWE career, multiple runs as the Intercontinental Champion, multiple runs as the Tag Team Champion. But I think he might have found the type of gimmick that he needed a little too late in his career. I think this New Day thing is good for him. But, now we got our first one gotta go, and this comes from Stephen Browning, and I encourage you guys to hit me with some more of these. Don't overdo it, but hit me with some more of them. One gotta go: Al Jefferson, Marc Gasol, Dwight Howard, or DeMarcus Cousins. Well, the bottom two definitely would not be. They would definitely not be leaving. It would be. And I would put Marc Gasol well over Al Jefferson. So for me, and I know Al Jefferson is an underrated player and he doesn't get a lot of respect, but I would still say in that scenario, he has to be the one that's got to go. Stephen Browning has another one. This one is a would you rather, and this is actually a good question. I almost picked this one to do it, to start as the feature question. But he says, to start a team, would you rather have James Harden or Russell Westbrook? That's good. That's a good question. I would have to say I would rather have Russell Westbrook. I just think that Russell Westbrook is from a competitive standpoint, that way that he attacks everything he does is infectious to his team. And I just think in crunch time, I prefer to have Russell Westbrook over James Harden. And so outside, that would be the separator for me. Franchise Gaming has a would you rather. He said, would you rather build your franchise around Kevin Durant or LeBron James? Well, if we're taking into consideration age and that sort of thing, and so obviously KD is younger than LeBron. LeBron is, I would say at the peak, and probably in the next 2 or 3 years will be going down. But if we're just talking about the talents, I would rather have LeBron. But if we're talking about age, then I may have to take KD because he's got some more years left. So, but there's no question in my mind LeBron's a better player than Kevin Durant, in my opinion. It's not really even that close, personally. Long has a would you rather. He says, would you take D Wade or Iverson in his prime? I love Iverson, but I'm taking Dwayne Wade in his prime. Dwayne Wade's a winner. Dwayne Wade sacrifices portions of his game for the betterment of the team. Dwayne Wade will play whatever position needs to be played for his team to win. Iverson was a great player, great scorer, but I really think he should have played point guard pretty much for his whole career. I think he would have been a better player, and I think he would have led teams to championships. Long says, one got to go. Quite simple, quick and easy. The NBA or the NFL. That's really simple, really easy for me. I love football and basketball, but one got to go. It's got to be the NFL. I mean, the NFL, just in my opinion, NFL is nowhere near as cool as the NBA. Just nowhere near. I mean, you got the nature of the game has caused it to have to change in several ways to protect people, which I totally understand that. And the game is just played in such a different way. And I know basketball is too, but I don't know. During basketball season, you get it almost every night. Hey, it's just, to me, that one's the other way. Now, here's one got to go from D Ward. That's kind of small on the screen, so forgive me. One got to go. John Wall, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, or Jeff Teague. This is actually pretty easy. Jeff Teague is the one that's got to go. I mean, Kyrie stays hurt, so you got to consider that. But one got to go in that scenario. I think Jeff Teague's not on those other guys' league. He's not in their league. So Mystique says, one got to go. And this is a Chicago Bulls flavored theme. Taj Gibson, Horace Grant, Joakim Noah, Dennis Rodman. I personally find this one pretty easy too. One got to go. This has got to be Taj Gibson. I mean, I have been a Bulls fan my entire life. I totally get it. I love the Bulls. But Taj Gibson has to be perhaps the most overvalued player in Bulls history. I mean, I'm going to say this. Bulls fans talk about Taj Gibson like he is one of the top 5 power forwards in the NBA, and that is not the case. Taj Gibson is a very good role player. That is what he is. That's it. Devin Martinez says, what are the best catchphrases ever used in WWE history? Oh, well, to be honest, brother by Hulk Hogan is definitely up there. I know recent things may have you say otherwise, but that's definitely there. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, for sure, is absolutely there. You can pick several from Stone Cold, but those to me are the best, that I can think of. Those are the best. I really also like Mr. Perfect too. Always mixing in, I did something perfect. I like that. Dylan Freeman's back with a one gotta go. Dean Ambrose, basically the Shield. Dolph Ziggler or Kevin Owens. You guys might not dig this very much, but for me, it would be Dean Ambrose gotta go. I actually think Dean Ambrose is like the Taj Gibson of this whole situation. Dean Ambrose he's not excellent in the ring. His mic work is so overrated because it's so all over the place. And I know he's supposed to be like the loose cannon, Roddy Piper type of thing in this era, but it's just crazy. And it most of the time don't make no sense. I just don't think of him what everybody else does. But hey. Dylan with another would you rather. Would you rather have a prime Peyton Manning or a prime Tom Brady? This is pretty easy too for me. I'm going to take a prime Tom Brady all day, every day, all day. Just all the time. Think about it. Well, Peyton Manning is the greatest regular season quarterback of all time, but Tom Brady wins championships. It's just that simple. Dylan Freeman says, who are your top superstars or divas that are underused and your superstars or divas that are overused? Well, overused right now is Neville. They run Neville out there too much. It's getting to the point where his act is like, okay, here we go, flipping off the top rope, double a bunch of frontwards nose. He's overused right now. Overused female diva is Alicia Fox. Just anything she does is overused because I just don't get it. I'm not there. Underused, I think, it's kind of changing though. I think Cesaro is underused, and I also think that on the diva side, I don't think there's any divas that are underused right now. Matt Price coming with the heaviness says thoughts on Arian Foster's non-belief in God. Well, nothing surprises me now. A lot of people are all over different, coming from all different standpoints with a lot of different things. Obviously it's not my belief or my faith or anything like that. I just pray for people, man. If I feel like they, may not, be on the path that is most constructive or positive, I pray for them. It's no different than anything else that I see, but obviously from an earthly, worldly standpoint, that's his prerogative to feel that way. And it's not for me necessarily to judge him. I do relate to him what I see in scripture, but that's about it. Dylan Freeman says, what are your top 5 superstars or divas that you would like to see return? Karma is one for sure on the diva side, and on the superstar side, absolutely, without a question, without a doubt, Kurt Angle. D War says, one gotta go. Clay. Now this is the toughest one gotta go. Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Jimmy Butler. Honestly, it would actually be between the top 2, between Klay Thompson and Kawhi Leonard. But I'm gonna say Klay because I think Klay is a good defender, but I think he's a little overrated in that vein. I think he's a good defender, but I don't think he's on par with those other 3 as defensive players, and offensively he is very streaky. So obviously he's a great player, a very good player, but I would say he's the one that would have to go out of that group. Matt Price says, true or false, wrestlers' theme music was much better in the 90s than it is today. I could see that. I can see that. I mean, even though there are some songs that I like, I like Dolph Ziggler's theme music. I like Mark Henry's theme music. I like Primetime Players theme music. So there's some ones out there that I like. So I don't know, but then definitely some stuff from the 90s was good. So I don't know. I think it's either hit or miss there. Crash says, if you had to choose one, what's your favorite sports title of all time? probably be between MLB 14 and whichever was the last MLB. So MLB 15 and NBA 2K15. Those would be my favorites. Also, if you want to go like old school, Baseball Stars was like awesome for the time. Matt Price says, who will have the better year, Sam Bradford or Nick Foles? Obviously, they kind of switch teams without actually being a trade. But I think Sam Bradford is going to probably have the better year. You know what? I changed that. I think Nick Foles is going to have the better year, and I'm going to tell you why. He has ridiculous running backs at his disposal, and I know that Sam Bradford has DeMarco Murray, but I think the Eagles are going to miss Evan Mathis, and I don't like the Eagles receivers as much as I like the Rams receivers. So I think overall the offense in St. Louis is going to be a little bit better. Nate Blair says, most overrated and underrated players in sports. The most overrated players in sports. That's tough. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know. I can't even. I don't know. I mean, that's really difficult. Really difficult to. I think one of the most underrated guys, just to me, is Carlos Gonzalez for Colorado Rockies. I just don't think he gets enough credit. He had a little bit of slump early, but he's really picked it up. I think he is truly one of the best hitters, and you don't hear him mentioned very much in that vein. Sharuk Rahat says, when do you think Bray Wyatt is going to get that push for the heavyweight title? This is the one I talked about a little bit earlier. I definitely think it comes in 2016. Probably starts to build some momentum at the end of this year. I think he's had enough of the character building, whispering in the dark by himself and all that kind of stuff, tormenting people. He needs an objective, and they need to give him an initiative, and I think that the title would be that. Ruben Ayala says, do you think 2K will ever bring back their MLB series? My answer to that is no, probably not, and because I can't imagine the demand being there for it. I know people are fiending for a baseball on Xbox of some sort, but I don't think that happens. I just can't imagine it. I mean, if you can't bring back College Hoops 2K, and people actually want that, so I don't know. Austin Edmonds says, are you going to live stream anytime soon? I really don't know. I had stopped live streaming because I couldn't keep up the schedule. So I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to that. I shouldn't say ever. I do know for a fact I'll go back to that. But I'll tell you this. I can't give you a definitive time and say, yeah, I'm going to do it here. Jalen Murray. This was one of the ones I also considered for the questions. But it's who do you think are the top 5 greatest wide receivers to ever play in the NFL? That's a question that's, because statistics in the NFL, you can't just compare them the same way you would in others. So I'm going to give you 5 that won't necessarily, you can't rank them just top to bottom. But Randy Moss is my number 1. Yes, over Jerry Rice. I could explain it, but it'll take a while. Tim Brown is definitely in my top 5. Also, in my top 5 is Chris Carter, for sure. Chris Carter, and another person in my top 5 that I think doesn't get a lot of credit is, you got to really kind of really take all of this into consideration. But I mean, because like I said, statistics is one thing, but you really have to look at everything. But I really like Reggie Wayne. So Ruben Ayala says, what are your thoughts on Jose Iglesias his antics in the dugout and, getting into it with his teammates and not giving maximum effort? I mean, things happen. I think we saw something similar to this with B.J. Upton. Well, he's not B.J. Upton. I think he's Melvin Upton Jr. now. Getting to it with Evan Longoria. It happens. You kind of just let it go. I don't think you should blow it too much out of proportion. Tylenol says, do you think that Brie Bella will turn on Nikki Bella this year and not Nikki turn on Brie again? I do think Brie is probably going to turn on her at some point. And it'll probably be wrapped in with Daniel Bryan coming back, because Daniel Bryan's a face, and it's going to be kind of weird to have her I know they do it with Cena and Nikki, but I don't think Cena and Nikki are as intertwined in people's minds as Brie and Daniel Bryan. So I think it'll probably wrap in with that. Brandon Knowles says, this is the last question of the episode. Who do you got for UFC 91, Johnson or Dotson? I think it could be an explosive fight, and I think Dotson is the only dude who can match Mighty Mouse in the speed aspect, and I think he's stronger than Mighty Mouse in terms of power. But I think if Mighty Mouse can get the fight to the ground, he will control it and he will dominate. Because even as good as he was the first time they fought on the ground, he's even better now. That's what people don't realize. A lot of times guys get better. And I think that he has gotten better. And I think that he beats Dodson again. But it'll be by a decision or a late submission. So that's this episode of Ask FP. It was a little bit long, but I appreciate you watching. God bless and peace.